Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 16th of May, now it's 15 past 12, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update today, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment, and I will start with Ukraine and special military operation. And the first news is that during the nighttime, Russian side did conduct quite large-scale missile and drone strikes on logistical and military infrastructure of Zelensky's regime. One of the main directions of these strikes were Kiev and Kiev region, and even though for now we have not received any statements from Russian Defense Ministry, Zelensky's regime did make statements about these night strikes, and they said that they managed to shut down all the missiles and drones, 100% of them. It's up to you, of course, if you will believe these kind of statements. Me personally, I'm not believing in that for a second, and more than that, I did share on my Telegram channel this footage of from Kiev, in which you can see, as I understand, this is Patriot air defense system in the working, and once they did shot, at least seems like all the missiles, then we see this explosion exactly in that area, and then secondary explosion also. And according to some Russian language Telegram channels and media outlets, Russian side did manage not just to destroy some logistical and military infrastructure of Zelensky's regime in Kiev and Kiev region, but also one of the Patriot air defense systems. Once again, I mean, we have no confirmation from Russian Defense Ministry about it, but during the day we will probably learn some more information, and of course I will share additional news on my Telegram channel. Let me continue. This is RIA Novosti's report about statements that head of DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, Denis Pushilin, made about Bakhmut and Bakhmut direction in general. And according to Pushilin, Russian side sent quite strong reinforcement in direction of Bakhmut, and the front line has been stabilized. Basically, Pushilin did confirm what I said yesterday, that front line was stabilized, even though some units of Zelensky's regime are trying to conduct some local scale offensive operations or recon operations. In general, line of defense of Russian side is holding, and when it comes to Bakhmut itself, there are some very serious developments there. And if we zoom in on this map here, we can see that this white dots is a line of contact between the sides, and according to this map, under control of Zelensky's regime is only this little part here left of a private housing area on the northern part of this little corner that was under control of Ukrainian forces. And when it comes to Citadel area, at this moment, Zelensky's regime is controlling just these few high-rise buildings here, and some call it Domino, and this small part here, and that's it. Citadel is almost under full control of PMC Wagner units, and my guess is that in next few days, before end of this week for sure, Zelensky's regime will withdraw its forces from Bakhmut. What will be left from Bakhmut garnison will left the city, and they will probably try to hold on to some positions in this village here between Bakhmut and Chisovyar, which called Krasnaya, and the majority will probably end up in Chisovyar or Konstantinovka. But yet again, let's see how situation will develop. But I think my prediction that I made during the previous few updates, that before end of this week, Bakhmut will be under full Russian control, probably my prediction will turn out to be correct. When it comes to overall situation on the front line, quite serious activization happening in Kupyansk direction. Just a few minutes ago, Russian media outlets did report that Russian frontline aviation did strike one of the brigades of Zelensky's regime, and that brigade has quite a huge, serious losses. And as you can see, it's not just artillery duels here, but also close range fighting between the sides. When it comes to Donetsk, Seversk is artillery duels mainly. When it comes to Donetsk direction, it's of course Bakhmut is a hot point. Also, Avdiivka and Maryinka. Pushilin also made statements about Maryinka, and he said that liberating of this town is taking so long because Zelensky's regime constantly sending reinforcements, and Maryinka had become some kind of meat grinder like Bakhmut is for quite a long time. When it comes to Zaporozhye region, it's artillery duels mainly, and the Kherson region also the same. It's artillery duels. Nowhere to see large scale, anticipated by many in the West and in Ukraine, large scale counteroffensive of Zelensky's regime, which will never happen, as I said many times before. And it will never happen because Zelensky's regime don't have enough manpower and battle-ready manpower and military equipment. But according to many sources, if we analyze informations, we can say that Zelensky's regime has about 50 to 70, maybe 80,000 more or less battle-ready military personnel in Zaporozhye and Kherson region. That's the last reserves that they have and ever will have, in my opinion. And with these reserves, they will probably conduct some local scale offensive operations in direction of Azov Sea to cut this land bridge, but they have no chance. It's obvious that they will have no chance to achieve any success in first few days. Once they will start their offensives, they will gain some new positions, some territories. That's obvious. But in few days' time, Russian side will stabilize front line, and then it will be Russian turn to conduct offensive operations. And my guess is that all those brigades, Ukrainian brigades that will participate in these offensive operations, will be decimated. As I said many times before, only way Zelensky's regime will achieve any significant success in any direction, and especially in direction of this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia, is if Russian Defense Ministry, for some strange reason, will order Russian units that are located on this land bridge to withdraw. That's the only way Zelensky's regime will have any success. And I hope Russian Defense Ministry will not give such order to Russian units nowhere. Let me continue now, and this is next news. RIA Novosti is reporting that in Klintsy, that's Bryansk region, Russian air defense systems did shut down Ukrainian drone. Well, it's good that Russian air defense systems are quite effective on almost all directions. But unfortunately, they cannot shut down all aerial targets always. It's just technically impossible. It's only Zelensky's regime that can make such statements that they are shutting down all the aerial targets. But in reality, it's just impossible. Even world famous Israeli Iron Dome is not capable of shutting down 100% of missiles. So unfortunately, time to time, Zelensky's regime is managing to conduct some successful strikes with drones and missiles. But, Russian air defense systems are doing their best to keep skies safe. Let me continue. This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Politico did write an article which is based on statements from aide of Ukrainian Defense Minister Yuri Saka, who said that Kiev is expecting to receive from 40 to 50 F-16 fighter jets, and they want to form 3 or 4 squadrons with these planes. Well, at this point of at this stage of this conflict and this story of confrontation between Russia and Western elites, nothing can be rolled out. As we know, United Kingdom already delivering long-range weaponry to Zelensky's terrorist and Nazi regime. Storm Shadows, for example, cruise missiles that are capable to target, capable of striking on distances from 200 to 500 kilometers, according to some sources. Yesterday, France did make statements that they also have almost the same missiles, and they will deliver those missiles to Ukraine. I guess Washington in coming days or weeks will also probably make statements that they will deliver long-range missiles to Zelensky's regime. London, by the way, not just London is delivering not just missiles but also long-range drones, attack drones. So level of escalation is so high that at this point nothing can be ruled out, and I would not be surprised if in a month's time or 2 months' time Western elites will introduce Western-made fighter jets to the front line, not just F-16s, but maybe French Rafales, maybe French Mirage 2000s, or Swedish Saab, Gripen fighter jets, maybe some other planes also, because as I said, at this point nothing can be ruled out. All the red lines that Moscow has ever stated have been crossed, or almost all the red lines. And probably what is interesting at this point is that how Moscow will react, or will Moscow even react on this development, because for this point only statements that we hear is from Peskov, spokesperson of Russian president. We don't hear anything from defense ministry. We did not hear anything from president of Russian Federation. Maybe they are working on the plan. I don't know. Maybe they have some plan in their mind, but it seems like we are entering extremely dangerous stage of this conflict when we're gonna see some elements of total war. So it's very unfortunate, but Western elites, I mean, they are not stopping. They don't have a reverse gear. They will push until they will destroy Russia, or until they will be stopped by force. There is only these two options. Let me continue, and by the way, whenever Western elites will introduce Western-made fighter jets to the battlefield, of course it will be obvious that despite these statements from London or Paris that they are beginning to train Ukrainian pilots, of course we will all know that it's NATO pilots are piloting these planes, and it's NATO engineering crews that are maintaining these planes, and probably those fighter jets itself will fly from not from Ukraine, but from neighboring with Ukraine NATO member states, Poland, Slovakia, Romania maybe, and some others. So that's the level of escalation that I don't really want to see, but unfortunately it will probably happen. Let me continue. This is RIA Novosti's report about publication in Global Times, Chinese newspaper. According to some, this newspaper is representing or has close ties with the Chinese foreign ministry, so we can read on pages on this newspaper Chinese foreign policy, Chinese view of the developments in different areas of this world. And according to article that was published in Global Times, US basically hijacked European states and are now actively using European states for further escalation with Russia, which is true. And according to Global Times, just recent visits of Zelensky in Italy, Germany, France, United Kingdom, and promises that he received during these visits, promises that he received about deliveries of weaponry and money, is proving that Washington truly hijacked European states, and are now actively using them to escalate with Russia. And unfortunately, Global Times also has quite skeptical forecast for this conflict, because it seems like Chinese experts also are thinking that conflict in Ukraine will further escalate in coming weeks and months. It's hard to argue with this, because it's just too obvious that Western elites aren't stopping. They cannot stop, really, because they don't probably know how. And they will escalate until Russia will collapse, or until Russia will stop them by force. And that's it. What is interesting at this point, I mean, Western elites did deliver almost everything that they have. It's only fighter jets left, and then what? What they gonna deliver next? I mean, nukes? And by the way, to be honest, I would not be surprised if Western elites will help Zelensky's regime to create dirty bombs, because many maybe forget about it, but I do remember that quite some time ago Russian Defense Ministry and Russian Foreign Ministry did made statements that Zelensky's regime received from some NATO member states nuclear materials to conduct some nuclear provocations. And as I said, man, level of escalation is so high that at this stage we cannot rule out anything. And maybe one day Zelensky's regime will even announce that they have a nuclear bomb, because that's what is left. Because in a month's time or 2 months' time, we will definitely see introduction of Western fighter jets to the battlefield, and then only nuclear weapons are left. And that's it. Let me continue. This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Macron did make statement that France will begin to train Ukrainian pilots. Exactly the similar statement was made by London the day before, or yesterday, by the way. And well, me personally, I do take these kind of statements as a smoke screen from Western elites, because they want to have on their hands a plausible deniability. So that's why they are saying that they are beginning to train Ukrainian pilots, when in reality we'll all understand that those Western-made fighter jets will be piloted by NATO pilots, and same goes for, let's say, armored vehicles. I am 100% sure that majority of Western-made battle tanks that are now in Ukraine are operated by NATO soldiers. I am 100% sure about it. That majority of Western-made battle tanks are operated by NATO soldiers. I'm 100% sure that Patriot air defense systems are operated by NATO soldiers. All the air defense systems, Western-made air defense systems, are operated by NATO soldiers, not just Patriot, but all. And also HIMARS systems are operated by NATO soldiers. So basically, NATO is, even though they still have a plausible deniability on their hands, but they are definitely involved in this conflict, and it's too obvious, really. Let me continue. And this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Hungary blocked transfer of 500 million euros to Zelensky's regime. But yet again, unfortunately, Budapest don't really have enough strength to withstand this pressure from the Western elites, and in a few days' time they will probably lift their ban on this transaction of 500 million euros. But I guess we will never forget in Russia that Hungary was one of the few European states that were acting truly adequately during this crisis. Point is, question is, how long European societies will stay quiet? How much money Western elites have to send to Zelensky's regime, or have to steal from European taxpayers, so that citizens of EU member states will start asking questions why? Is not something to do in European states with this money? Is no one left in need in Europe? Or what the heck is happening? But unfortunately, for this moment, only few people are asking questions. The majority is just sleeping, it looks like. Let me continue. And this is quite interesting news. According to TASS News Agency, Russian Foreign Ministry did make a statement that in the near future, some countries in Central Asia may join anti-Russian coalition and impose sanctions on Russia. That's a quite surprising statement from Russian Foreign Ministry, because we are talking about former Soviet republics, and all of them heavily are dependent on Russia. We are talking about Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, these 5 republics. And there are no specifications in this article which countries may join anti-Russian coalition. But it's quite unfortunate development, really. And I guess China will get involved in this situation, because I think Chinese elites, Chinese leadership don't really want to see. Let me show you on the map. So that's China, by the way, and that's Central Asia that we are talking about. And I guess Chinese leadership don't want to see that Central Asian republics that are bordering China becoming colonies of Western elites, because in that case, it's just 100% guarantees that West will use these republics to as a terrorist-based basis, and some terrorists will be sent from these republics in China to destabilize northwest part of China, where predominantly Muslim Uyghur ethnic Uyghur population lives, and majority of them are their faith is Islam, and I guess Western elites will try to radicalize those Uyghurs, and for this, to achieve this, West will definitely use these Central Asian republics if they will establish full control over them. So that's why I think China will get involved in this situation. But overall, of course, it's quite unfortunate that Central Asian republics are considering to impose sanctions on Russia. That's crazy, though. And let me continue. And unfortunately, I mean, we should never. That's why I'm saying that Russia should never underestimate its enemies, because Western elites do have enough power to impose their will on many countries in this world. And as you can see, in Russian foreign ministry now acknowledging that some Central Asian republics may impose sanctions on Russia. So this conflict in Ukraine have to end as soon as possible. Otherwise, more damage will be done to relationships between Russia and many countries that are under heavy pressure from the West. And by the way, this information is basically a continuation of previous topic. We have statement from Pashinyan, Prime Minister of Armenia, and he said that even though Armenia wants to be useful or wants to be friendly with Russia, if West will threaten with sanctions, then it will be a red line for Armenia, and they will probably impose some sanctions on Russia. They will act accordingly. He did not say that Armenia will impose sanctions on Russia, but that's what he meant, basically. So yes, as I said, man, Western elites will use their influence to force countries to act against Russia. And when Central Asian republics are considering to join anti-Russian coalition, that's a failure on the part of Russian foreign ministry, Russian leadership in general, and that's obvious failure, isn't it? And that this development once again highlights how important it is for Russia to act as a superpower, and end this conflict in Ukraine by winning decisively and with use of all means necessary. Otherwise, these kind of developments will continue, and Russia will definitely find itself in very difficult situation. That's unfortunate reality, and we cannot close eyes on this truth. You tell me if my reading of big picture is incorrect, but that's what I think, man. Russia needs to act like a superpower. It's time, man. It's time. Because as I said, Western elites have no reverse gear, and they would not stop until they will destroy Russia or until Russia will stop them by force. They don't understand any other language except force. That's a simple truth that everyone should understand at this point. Let me continue, and this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Polish government is now preparing to take some more buildings from Russian diplomatic mission in Poland. Not surprisingly, current government of Poland is acting extremely Russophobic way, extremely anti-Russian way. And to be honest, maybe if this will continue, and this will definitely continue, this kind of policies from Warsaw, maybe it's truly time to cut diplomatic ties with Poland and Baltic states also. I do understand that there are some citizens of Russia that may need some support of Russian diplomatic representatives, but Russia can ask for some neutral states to represent Russian interests. So there is no need anymore, really, to keep diplomatic relationships with this extremely anti-Russian and basically with states that are in war with Russia. Let's say how it really is. NATO member states, majority of NATO member states are in war with Russia. Undeclared war, but it's still war, for God's sake. And maybe it's truly time for Moscow to act, for God's sake, because there's too much statements was made about red lines, about this and about that, but at this point, world is waiting from Russia some decisive actions, because words definitely are not enough, and words lost their meaning, because once you say that this is red line, and when this red line is crossed and you are doing nothing time after time, then your words losing weight, basically. This is RT's report about, yes, I did report about it, that Hungary did block this transaction of 500 million to Ukraine, but let's see how long Hungary will withstand this Western pressure. But they are, I mean, only one of the few European states for sure that are truly acting adequately all the way. RIA Novosti's report, according to which Russia have become a second biggest trade partner for India in first decade of this year, which is great news. That's Macron should read news about this because as you remember yesterday he was saying that Russia has lost because Russia is now too dependent on China. No, by the way, Russia has trading relationships not just with China but also with India and also with the rest of the world. Those idiots in Western elite think that it's only Western countries that are this world, but no, world is much bigger than Western states combined. And yes, Russia is the second biggest trade partner with China. Great development with India. And yes, absolutely great. I'm all for increase of trade and every other relationship with the world that are not supporting those criminals in Western elites. Let me continue. This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which head of U.S. Finance Ministry, Janet Yellen, made statement that on 1st of June, U.S. may default. Well, I don't believe that U.S. will default on 1st of June, but it's funny to see that these kind of stories are repeating itself year after year when Washington is increasing ceiling of debt. This year will be same. They will increase this limit by a few trillions, and next year will same happen exactly, and after that also. And I don't think US will ever default, but what I do think is that US dollar will lose its value significantly in 5-10 years time. In 5-10 years time, US dollar may lose its position as a main world reserve currency. So this is it for now. I hope you will find this video interesting. I did try to go through news as fast as I can, so video is not too long. So I hope you will find it interesting, and if so, please hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. That will probably increase my chances to reach wider audience. And If you think this channel is interesting, useful, and deserves to exist, then please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, buyMeCoffe, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.